Let's go FanDuel here.
Here's where FanDuel is going to be most different. They've actually priced Jordan Mason. I mean, we have him projected really well, so he's going to look good no matter what. But massively different when Jordan Mason is $8,300 and has an actual price tag on FanDuel. Yep. Last week, when Loughran and I were building lineups, we saw that FanDuel had non-existent pricing. You can play whoever the hell you want. That is not going to be the case this week when Jordan Mason's 8,300.
Not at all. Yeah, last week we really did put in whoever we wanted into those lineups for sure. All right, so FanDuel, I'm looking at our top stacks tool. Sometimes I like to cheat, Greg, and I like to see what our tools are giving us. It's not even cheating, because if you have the core package, utilize all the tools. I had people asking me like, hey, someone hit me up on Twitter and was like, I'm using the single lineup or single entry lineup builder, and I keep getting a lot of negative ROI stuff. And I was like, listen, man, if you're kind of new to this stuff and the way sims work and leverage and how ownership factors in, run the actual sims. Like run the actual sim, Greg, and just see what type of results you're getting. It can't hurt to do that, to be like, all right, these are the type of builds that this week look really good. Let me build around some of those iterations, or at least get the concept in mind, because there's just going to be certain weeks where a certain type of build doesn't play all that well, and that's why I like using top stacks and ownership and all of that stuff for this.
True. And just because it was brought up in the YouTube chat, true. Other than Jordan Mason, Envious asked us, does FanDuel still have the night game this week? Yes. I haven't talked to anybody about this, but my assumption is that going forward, FanDuel is going to have the Sunday Night Football game as part of their main slate.
Well, isn't that just wonderful?
So we do have that to consider as well. The Atlanta Falcons against the Kansas City Chiefs. That is going to be on the FanDuel main slate.
Oh man, I wish Bengals Commanders was that game. That would have been beautiful.
I'll tell you what, nobody wishes for the Jets Patriots game to be that game.
This is true. This is true. There's some unbelievably low. There's a 35 out there this week. A 35 total. Can you guess what game?
Patriots Jets?
That's 38.
Oh boy.
Come on, you can figure this out.
Is it cheating if I look at the schedule without looking at the odds?
No, not at all.
Okay. Oh, Titans Packers?
Close. That's 37. There's some really
Panthers Raiders then?
Nope, that's 40.5. Off the top of my head, this is what they were yesterday. Oh, you got it. Come on. When you see this, you're gonna go, oh, how did I miss that?
Is it Dolphins Seahawks?
No.
I have no clue what the betting expectations are for the Dolphins.
That Jordan got it. Chargers Steelers.
I guess it makes sense. Chargers have been running the ball a lot.
Well, Steelers have a great defense and a terrible offense, too.
I can't believe nobody's trolled me in chat or asked me about J.K. Dobbins again.
Well, it's funny, though, because I was hoping the guy that came in last week and was like, see, I told you Dobbins is the workhorse now, just so I could be like, yes, you're right. He still had fewer carries than Gus Edwards. Because that was the only
tough. Everybody's going to actually, I don't know that everybody's going to want to play Dobbins because of the matchup against the Steelers. But it's still the same. Like, I don't think there's a reasonable way to say Dobbins gets way more carries than Gus Edwards. Edwards had more last week.
Right. I think it was 18 to 17. The only difference is if there was
Edwards had 0 receptions and Dobbins had 1. So like they were up by a lot against the Panthers, and obviously the Panthers are a total train wreck of a team, so they had a lot of good field position. But I still remain in the same spot. Like I just can't expect that J.K. Dobbins is going to have like 70% of the rushing attempts to 30% for Gus Edwards.
And by the way, this isn't a criticism of Dobbins or anybody that played him. You played him against Carolina at a low 5K price point. I have no issues with that at all. My only contention last week was the comments that Gus Edwards was no longer going to get work. This team wants to run the ball a ton. It's Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh. What do you expect? The question now is like, does Dobbins' efficiency over the coming weeks just become so much better than Edwards that now the split is more significant? I'm still not convinced that's going to be the case though, because I don't know if they want to give this guy 23 carries a game, not coming off all those injuries.
Yeah. I mean, and now you've got a much tougher matchup, obviously, as well. Playing against the Steelers, totally different scenario compared to going up against, the Panthers, and not just the Panthers having a lacking defense, but the fact that you're always starting good field position against them, or at least they were last week because Bryce Young was in at quarterback. But either way, if we're looking at running back here on FanDuel, let's see, what is the price point on Dobbins for FanDuel there? Dobbins is, I'm trying to read it on screen. 72. All right. So 7,200 for Dobbins. I mean, it's still, he's only 2% projected owned. Last week he came in like insanely higher owned than what his projected ownership was. I mean, he was projected for like 7% ownership. He ended up being 27% owned. But I'm not going to be seriously considering J.K. Dobbins this week.
I'm not either. I'm not either. I'm good. All right. Who do we want to stack?
All right. So let's do a stack different from what we did over on DraftKings. Let's go. We haven't. Oh, you know what? Just because you can't do this on DraftKings. All Patrick Mahomes. Let's go with the Chiefs stack.
All right.
I think Carson Steele is kind of interesting as well with Pacheco out.
Who do we even stack Mahomes with anymore outside of Rashee Rice?
So I think Kelsey is live as a stat. Kelsey's also not that expensive. Typically on FanDuel, Kelsey's been priced in previous years in like the mid to high 8K range, sometimes even getting as high as 9K. $7,200 for Travis Kelsey. When you consider he's $7,200, Laporta's $7,000, Kittle is $7,100, McBride is $6,800. These guys are all priced similarly. I like Kelsey more than all of them.
I like him less than all of them.
I like him more than maybe Kittle is like the one exception. Laporta, if I'm on Ross St. Brown or to be out, I would prefer him. But yeah, Kelsey, I'm gonna say Kelsey, at least as of now, is my favorite pay up tight end on FanDuel.
Then we have to throw Rice in there as well. But I don't even think you can stack Mahomes without Rice right now.
Okay.
He's
go Mahomes. Take Steele out then, Jordan. You only need so much correlation for FanDuel where it's half point PPR. Do you want to go Jordan Mason at $8,300? We still haven't projected better than everybody else.
Yeah, I'm just looking at pricing on some of these guys.
Charbonnet really stands out at $6,700 on FanDuel.
Also, allow me to just say that I think the projection on Devon Achane is wrong right now.
What do we have him at?
12 something.
His workload was insane the other day.
Yeah.
Totally ridiculous. Part of it, though, do we have Mostert in right now?
Well, we just got a report that they're not expected to place him on, or not. We just did. This came out last week that they're not expected to place him on injured reserve. But when I hear something like that, like, oh no, we're not going to place him on injured reserve, that makes me think he misses more than a week.
So he's listed as questionable. I'm just looking for any other updates.
We don't have him in? Okay. So then to me, Mostert or Devon Achane should be Should be higher owned than that.
I agree with that.
But I'm not
If
going
we're
to play him in here.
projecting Mostert out.
What's that?
It makes sense to me if we'd Mostert projected in, not with him projected out. He should be higher.
Well, that'll get fixed throughout the week, I think. Anyway, we could try Mason. I have such an aversion to Kansas City stacks. So I'm really going to, I'm interested to see how this looks.
So we go Mahomes, Rice, Kelsey, Mason. I would say Charbonnet at the other running back spot.
Yeah, 6,700 is just too cheap. Not a ton to work with here. Where's Jameson Williams priced?
Jameson Williams is $6,300 on FanDuel. There's a lot of really good, reasonably priced wide receivers on FanDuel. Ayuk 6,500, Olave 6,700, Cooper is 6,000. If we want to go cheap, like we did in that other DraftKings lineup, Jordan Whittington, he's $4,600. He looks like a okay play to be getting to for cheap. So, I mean, we could actually go, I think we could go Ayuk, Olave, and Cooper with our final 3 roster spots, and then just plug in whatever's left at defense.
Okay. Let's try it. Nothing. Yeah, we
Not
can't.
enough salary left for that?
No, unless I have someone else in that. All right, let's get.
So if there's not enough salary left for that, go with wide receiver, Ayuk, Olave, and then just put a Whittington in for the final spot.
You could always, we have. All right. Could go Whittington there. We'll try it. All right.
I don't think this is a bad lineup.
Let's
We
try
don't
it.
have a run back, but that's okay.
We have it. They haven't really been needed all that much. And then what? You want to go? Who would defense?
Just had a 223 sim ROI.
Pretty good. Best one yet.